This is the Pooja and Gurdeep podcast.
From 98.1 CHFI Studios in Toronto, Canada.
Hey Toronto, this is Ed Sheeran.
This is Kelly Clarkson.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
This is Adele.
This is Madonna.
It's Michael Bublé, and you're listening to the Pooja and Gurdeep Show. It's fun. They're amazing.
Hey, you're listening to the Pooja and Gurdeep podcast. Hope you had a great Halloween. So I asked people on the show for their real-life ghost stories, and we got way more calls than we anticipated. We couldn't even get to all of them. These ghost stories, these real-life ghost stories, were so scary. Steph, Blair, and myself, the hair was standing up on our arm. We were all freaked out, legitimately freaked out in the studio. So we decided to do an entire real-life ghost story podcast. That's what you're about to hear. Two calls that really stand out to me were Shanika, who kicks off the pod with her story, and then the very last story, which may be my favorite, which is Raj from Curtis. But listen to the whole thing the whole way through. The calls are all so good. Thank you for listening. Yeah. Happy Halloween. We are looking for your real-life ghost stories.
This is real thing, guys.
Yeah, I don't mean the urban legends you came across around the campfire. I'm talking about things that have happened to you or someone in your circle, someone you know. 1 degree of separation. I've got one to get the party started here. So, yeah, back when I was a news anchor at the last place I worked at, a fellow news anchor who was from Vancouver, she was telling me a story about when she lived in Vancouver one day on a slow news day in the newsroom. And she was living in a condo building in the greater Vancouver area. And there was a friend of hers in the building who told her and her husband, like, my condo is haunted. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, come on, that's silly. And she's like, no, the cabinet doors just keep opening. The TV goes on and off. Lights go up and down on a dimmer. And they're like, come on, that's not real. Anyways, they were over for like a little dinner soiree at her condo one evening, and they witnessed some of this stuff happening. Like, they'd go into a room where they had just been, and a door would be open or a light would be off that was on, or vice versa. So they started to, the hair stood up on their arm a little bit, and they're like, okay, this is a bit strange. Like, they still didn't know, like, is she sort of putting this on? Like, what's going on? Anyway, one day, this friend, she was going on vacation, and they asked my friend and her husband to cat sit. So they'd come over and spend a little time with the cat, but then they started experiencing these things when it was just them and the cat at home, like doors closing, lights going on and off. Yeah. So by the end of the week where they were cat sitting, they would just come in, they would throw a piece of meat in the condo and slam the door, slide it, because they were legitimately scared. They're like, what? Not right. What is going on? So this woman, when she came back, these things kept happening, and she actually went to go see a medium about this to say, what should I do? And the mediums, because she kept having these dreams, this woman, she'd have these dreams where when she's sleeping, this like dark ball of light would sort of come in through the window and hover over her bed and just terrify her, and she would sort of wake up at that point. And she told the medium about these dreams, and the medium said, the next time you have this recurring dream, try to stay in it, don't wake up, and welcome talk to the, like, engage this spirit, engage this dark light, talk to it, and then tell it it's not welcome here, tell it to go away. And so sure enough, the next time this dream happened, this dark ball of light is sort of, dark cloud is hovering over her bed, and she's terrified with every bone in her body, but she starts talking to it, and it takes the shape of an older woman. And the older woman is terrified, and she says, you're not welcome here, leave. She forcefully tells the sort of spirit, leave. And then the woman disappears out through the window, and after that, this stuff stops happening.
What?
Now she found out, she did some research, and she found out there was, and this is absolutely a true story. This is a friend of mine who told me this, first person, the hair standing up on my arm, and she says she did some research, and there was an old woman who had passed away in the condo before she owned it.
Ooh.
Isn't that terrifying? I know. I'm getting scared retelling this.
The first question I would have asked at the beginning of the story is, why do you still live there?
I think she didn't know. Like, she was figuring this all out in real time.
But that's creepy that doors are opening and all that stuff is happening in her house.
So
I don't know if I'd be able to live there.
Because you don't typically think of, like, condos or apartments as being haunted. You think of houses. Yeah. So this one really terrified me because I live in a condo as well.
But yours are new.
They're new. Yes. That's what I'm going to keep telling myself. We are looking for your real life ghost stories. Stuff like that. 1 degree of separation. We're looking for your real life ghost stories.
This is real thing, guys.
The Pooja and Gurdeep podcast.
From 98.1 CHFI.
Shanika in Shelburne, what is your real life ghost story?
Okay, so I used to live in this condo apartment for like 2 years. And it wasn't until the second half of my stay that I started noticing things were happening in my apartment. So I could be in my bedroom and a glass or a vase would just fall off of a shelf and then like the glass would shatter. I don't know what spirit it was, but it was like super obsessed with breaking glass. And then sometimes when I would wake up out of my sleep, I would have like scratches on my legs or bruises on my thighs. Yeah. So I had to actually talk to someone to figure out what was going on. And they told me that I had 3 spirits in my apartment. So one of them was the glass, and then one wasn't there all the time. One would leave and come back and leave and come back, but 2 would always stay. So the person that spoke to me said that one of them was the reason why I would get stomach aches.
What?
And obviously I wouldn't be thinking about something giving me stomach aches. Maybe I'm just thinking I'm just having a hard time with my stomach or something.
Right.
But it was the spirit that was causing that.
Can I ask you, Shanika, where this apartment was?
Yeah, I lived on those new condo apartment buildings. They're not new, but they've been there for like 12 years at Bramley and Steeles.
And do you know, did you ever find out, like, did something ever happen in your unit or in the building?
I never searched it, but I wouldn't put it past it because so many things had happened in that building even while I was there. So I wouldn't put it past it.
How quickly did you get out of there, Shanika?
Well, I mean, I didn't leave right away because, you know, rent is high.
Because
so
housing's
like,
crazy in this city.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know if the person who lived in the unit after you had any issues?
I don't actually. I didn't even reach out to.
Why would
to see
she
if
go
anyone-
back? I would never go back.
I wouldn't go back, but I would just be curious.
I know.
Shanika, I'm glad you're okay. And this one really hits home because this is a first-person story. This happened to you.
Yeah.
Wow. Shanika, thank you so much for sharing that. That is wild.
No problem. Thank you.
Let's head to Hillsburg. Rob, what is your real-life ghost story?
Well, I drive bus for Brampton Transit for the last 18 and a half years, and I drive either early in the morning or at night, and I'm constantly seeing passengers at bus stops that don't exist.
What?
I'll be driving along, and I'll see a passenger standing at a bus stop, and as I approach and slow down, the passenger step back into the shelter, and when I stop, there's nobody there.
Okay, you gave me a sensation through my whole body. Are you kidding me?
Is it always the same bus stop, though?
No, it's
Okay.
various bus stops throughout the city.
Wow.
And Rob, have you done any digging into this about something that might have happened at one of those bus stops?
I haven't. I just figured there are passengers who have passed away, but haven't left the earth and still try to travel the bus. Because sometimes I do stop the bus, and the back door will open all by itself.
Stop it.
Wow.
Really? Oh, gosh.
What's the route? I don't know if I want to
Yeah,
take it.
do you avoid those routes now?
I don't. I've just accepted it. It's part of the job. And to be honest with you, I never believed in ghosts until I started working and started seeing them at bus stops.
Occupational hazard. Wow. Rob, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Let's head north to Ajax. Craig, give us your real-life ghost story.
A friend of mine had lived in a farmhouse in Garden Hill.
Okay, where's that?
North of, it's like near Port Hope, north of Port Hope.
Okay.
So she was sitting on her bed, and something pushed down on her leg and wouldn't let her sit up or even leave the room.
What?
Oh, yeah. And we went there one day to visit her, and you could just feel the evil presence.
Oh, my gosh. Do you know if something had happened in this house?
Never did find out, but I never went back after that.
Wow. That is creepy. Craig, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
No worries.
George, right here in Toronto, what is your real-life ghost story?
My mother had a salon here in Scarborough, and she had a very distinct client. There was this gentleman with a big fat mustache and a lunch jacket. He had a very distinct. And I was walking to the mall one day, and I see him, and I stop and say hello. And I start saying hello, whatever. He just ignores me and keeps walking. I go closer. I'm like, hi, how are you? Nothing. Ignores me, keeps walking. I'm like, okay, fine. So I go down to my parents' salon, and then I tell my mother I saw this person. And she's like, oh, okay. And then his best friend comes in for cut. And then I say, oh, I saw your friend. How's he doing? Blah, blah. And the best friend turns to me and is like, he died a year ago on Halloween. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
That is so terrifying. And was it on Halloween day that you happened to see him or just a random day?
I saw him on Halloween day.
Oh, my gosh. George.
Yeah, it scared the life out of me.
George, thank you so much for sharing that, man. We appreciate you. Okay, let's head to the Peel region. Robin in Mississauga, do you have a real-life ghost story for us?
I was with my This is like a personal experience. I was with my brother, my mom, and my cousin. We're driving to my grandma's house. Like this is around I think 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
And on the left side of the road, there's like a big asphalt drum, and there's this like just lady just floating in the air. And it happened not just once, but 3 days straight.
You guys all saw it?
We all saw it, and my mom was like telling us, "Please close your eyes, close your eyes." But the moment we closed our eyes and then we look back, it disappeared. And then heading back home, coming from my grandma's house, we see this lady again on the exact same spot, floating in the air. And then the moment we passed, it's gone.
What? Did you ever get more on the lady or the story? Did something happen there?
Not really, like there's a lot of crazy things happening in the Philippines,
This was in the Philippines?
This was in the Philippines when I was young.
That is terrifying. You must think about that all the time.
I do, and every time I speak to my friends about it, I'm like, they are real, I've seen them with my own eyes. My brother saw it, my cousin saw it, my mom saw it, we all saw it.
Oh my goodness.
And we just don't know why it appeared for 3 times.
Holy smoke. Robin, thanks for sharing that, man.
No worries.
Have a good day.
Have a great day.
The Pooja and Gurdeep Podcast.
This is the Pooja and Gurdeep Podcast.
Kim in Mississauga, what is your real life ghost story?
Ever since my father passed away, we had upstairs in my bathroom, I have one of those Google Homes.
Yep.
And my husband and my daughter-in-law were downstairs in the living room and kitchen, and Christian music started playing on the Google Home upstairs by itself. And my father was Christian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we have a light by our stairs, and the light turned on, and my husband went to turn it off. And once he turned it off, he came back, and as soon as he sat on the couch, the light kept going back on again. And then I have, those lights, they're just the fake candles, but they change colors.
Yep.
So I have one sitting on my dining room table, but it's kind of in a big birdhouse, but it's closed in. Like you have to fight to get into it. And I was at my trailer, and my son called me, and he said, "How do I turn off the light on the dining room table? The ghost is turning it on, and I can't turn it off." And the light just kept going off and on, and you have to open this bird cage. It's very difficult, and the light switch is on, the switch is actually on the bottom of the candle.
Did any of this happen on a particular anniversary of your late father?
No.
Just randomly?
It's just been random, yeah.
Kim, thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Catherine from Brampton, what is your real-life ghost story?
Well, I work at the airport.
Okay.
As a cleaner, and I'm cleaning one of the bridges that leads onto the plane. And I work at night, so it was during 3 o'clock, the witching hour.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. And all of a sudden I hear my name being called, but it doesn't sound like any of my coworkers. And I called out and said, "Hey," nothing. So, and I heard giggling, like 2 kids giggling, and slamming up the door. And I got up, I ran, and I asked anyone if anyone did that, and they said no.
So you heard your name being called by 2 kids who were giggling from the bridge late at night, and nobody was there?
Yep.
Did you ever find out what that might have meant? Was there a story about 2 kids at the airport or anything?
Oh, I didn't hear any stories about the 2 kids, but I heard a story about an old lady watching us clean all night.
An old lady doing what, sorry?
Watching us clean all night.
Watching you clean all night. Oh, man. That is super freaky, Catherine.
It's what it is.
Did it make it hard to do your job after that?
No, I just find them as friends, I guess.
Okay. I guess the friendly ghost. They were Casper. At least they were kids. Catherine, thanks for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Avery from Pickering, who's 12 years old. What is your real-life ghost story?
So not too long ago, I was at my 12th birthday party, and we went to this Pickering Museum Village. It's where they have historic buildings.
Okay.
And so while we were inside one of the buildings, we were in the attic. So it was just me and my friends and my mom and my mom's friend. And so we were in one room, but the other room, all of a sudden we heard footsteps, and they were like loud boots, and none of us were making that noise. So it really scared us, and we all screamed.
Whoa. Was anyone brave enough to go into the other room to investigate?
No, because you weren't allowed in the other room.
Oh.
It was just dark.
And did you find out from anyone who worked there maybe, like what that might have been?
Apparently there's like actual ghosts there, and because it's a historic building.
Oh, so the building's really old, and usually it's the really old buildings that might be haunted.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. Have you been thinking about it ever since?
Yes, I couldn't sleep that night.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to keep me up tonight, Avery. Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad the rest of your 12th birthday was good, though.
Yes, thank you.
Avery, thanks for listening and thanks for calling.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, we are going to finish up on this one. Raj from Curtis, what is your real life ghost story?
Okay, so basically this happened back in 2006 when I used to work over at College Park there. Mm-hmm. And it was an overnight shift, and the cleaner had called us to give access to usually it's a police officer or like a court officer to do a warrant submission.
Okay.
So we'd gone up there, spoke to the guy. His name was Claudio, the cleaner, and he's like, "Hey, this person's here. They just around the corner. They need access to the court docs area."
And this is at the courthourse, right, Raj?
Yeah, this is the courthouse. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, sure enough, we get up there. It takes about 5 minutes for us to get up there from the office to get access. And we shoot on up, me and my partner James, and we go over to Claudio. And like, where's the person? Oh, they're just around the corner. Okay, just go searching for the person. Nowhere to be found. Do you know what area the individual said there is going to be? And they're going to meet you at the office where the court docs are. No problem. Nowhere to be found. 10 minutes. We're walking around the court area, and obviously the jail cells downstairs, no one there. Court offices, the courtrooms, check everywhere, no one's there. Claudia, are you sure somebody is up here? Yep. Okay, well, I don't see anybody. We're going to go downstairs and check the cameras, see where they are. No one in the camera of where they were standing. He is literally on the camera talking to somebody, but we can't see them.
Oh my gosh, you looked at the camera and he's there talking to someone on the camera?
Yeah.
And he saw someone in real life. He obviously saw this person.
Yeah, he saw somebody. So we asked him later on what the person's badge number was, and they presented that, and it was a person from the 70s.
He actually saw a badge number?
Yeah.
And he wrote that down?
Yeah, he wrote that down on the shoulder check. Yeah, they usually do that, right? Everyone in that area who works there has to ask for identification, regardless if it's...
So it was a police officer that he saw?
Yeah.
And what happened when you looked up the badge number?
It was a female. It was a blonde female from the 70s that obviously wore, and this is what gave it out. It was a skirt uniform. It wasn't a full pant uniform at the time.
Oh. And did you guys happen to look up or Google that police officer? Do we know what happened?
It was looked up on the system, so the paper system that they had from a long time ago from the sergeant that was there. It took weeks for us to find out who that person was, but sure enough, we found out who the person was then.
And it was a real police officer?
Yeah, scary.
Wow. That is, honestly, just the thought of watching back videotape and seeing a colleague of yours talking to no one on camera, that is right out of a movie. That is insane.
Yeah. And the area is known for that kind of activity, but for us too, we've heard of stories from before, but we were yeah, whatever. But the fact that it actually happened on our watch
is wild. Man, I have been to College Park at Yonge and College many times, and I tell you what now, Raj, after this story, I'm going to be thinking of it very differently next time I'm in there.
You're probably going to be walking with your back turned, yeah, for sure.
Raj, thank you for sufficiently scaring us this morning. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
This is real thing, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Pooja and Gurdeep podcast.
Listen to Pooja and Gurdeep live weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Only on 98.1 CHFI.
Toronto's perfect music mix.